All right, Shalom. First and foremost, to give our honor and glory to Yahawah, Bahashim Yahawashi, Bahashim Rakakwadash, and double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopeful elect, okay? And as you can see in the title, it says, what is domestic terrorism, okay? We're just going to do some definition, a little bit searching, okay? Couple scriptures to line this thing on up, and we'll hit it on home, okay? Lord willing, be edifying, all right? So let's get right into it. All right. Okay, I found a little definition right here. Okay, what is domestic terrorism? Okay, while there are many potential definitions of domestic terrorism, it is a let me get this. Okay, while there are many potential definitions of domestic terrorism, it is largely defined as terrorism in which the perpetrator targets his/her own country. And Enders defines domestic terrorism as homegrown in which the venue, target, and the perpetrators are all from the same country. Okay, so kind of like, war within. Okay, all right. The term homegrown terrorism stems from jihadi terrorism against Westerners. Okay, Wilner and Dubelos described homegrown terrorism as autonomously organized, radicalized Westerners with little direct assistance from transnational networks, usually organized within the home or host country, and targets fellow nationals. Okay. The Congressional Research Service report American Jihadist Terrorism, combating a complex threat, describing homegrown terrorism as a terrorist activity or plots. Okay, that's a key word: terrorist activities or plots perpetrated within the United States or abroad by American citizens, permanent legal residents, or visitors radicalized largely within the United States. Okay, the United States Department of State defined terrorism as in 2003 as premeditated. Okay, these are big key words right here, man, for us in these ministry. Okay, politically motivated violence perpetrated against non-combatant targets by some subnational groups, okay, or clandestine agents, usually intended to influence an audience. Okay, so this is very important right here. Okay, all right, usually, remember that, usually intended to influence an audience. That's a form of terrorism. Okay, that's a form of domestic terrorism. Okay, verse 1, not verse 1. However, the U.S. government cannot charge someone with domestic terrorism because no such criminal law exists. Okay. Under 2001 USA Patriot Act, domestic terrorism is defined as activities that involve acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of the criminal laws of the U.S. or of any state. B, appear to be intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population, okay, to influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion, or to affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping. And C, occur primarily within the territorial jurisdiction of the U.S. Definition is made for the purposes of authorizing law enforcement investigations. Okay, while international terrorism, acts of terrorism transcending national boundaries, is a defined crime in federal law. Okay, Now it says, let me jump down to 2020. In 2020, in response of Public Law 11692, National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2020, the Department of Homeland Security and Department of Justice, FBI, published the following definition of domestic terrorism, and this is important. Domestic terrorism for the FBI proposes it's referenced in U.S. Code at 18 U.S.C. 2331 and is defined as activities involving acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of the criminal laws of the United States or of any state, appearing to be intended to immediate coerce a civilian population, influence the policy of government by intimidation or coercion, or affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping, and occurring primarily within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States. Let me see something. Okay. In 2020, publication notes that the U.S. government broadly divides. They widen the borders of what that definition stands for them and their laws. Okay. U.S. government broadly divides domestic terrorism or domestic violent extremism threat into several threat categories. Okay. With the two largest being racially or ethnically, and now who that sound like? Okay, sounds like the Hebrew Israelites. All right, racially or ethnically motivated violent extremism, and they will say we are extremism. The Hebrew Israelites, they will say we are extremism, okay, because of the things that we teach, but it's just the scriptures, okay, being decoded. All right, Obadiah 1, that whole chapter, okay. I think as a son of man set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. Let me grab that real quick. When we say the Lord is coming back, you know what I'm saying? Not to meet Esau as a man. Okay. That's talking about bloody war. It's talking about getting busy. All right. We in this man's kingdom talking about his downfall. Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 2, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus saith the Lord power, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate, destroy thee. Verse 4, and I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord Yahawah. Now, that's what the Lord proclaimed, okay? So we ought to do exactly what he said and not go against his orders, okay? Let me make sure my mic is good. All right. You know, we are to do what he said and not to go before anything, okay? And another thing is, this is the truth, because this is the man that caused the earth to mourn, to wax old, to wax in wickedness, okay? Right? So this is just the truth. Let me grab this real quick. Because all right. John chapter 8, verse 45. All right. Galatians chapter 4, verse 16. Salakia. All right. Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? And that's all we're doing. We're telling you the truth. Okay. From the Most High Yahawashi, man. Okay. All right. Let's get back. And we're coming to tell you that the Lord is only chosen. The only chosen is, okay, Israel. And within, the only chosen nation is Israel. Okay. So that's racially and ethnically motivated violent extremism. And they might say the violent part, okay, because we're well motivated towards the kingdom for Yahawah Shai. They might say that we're not putting our hands towards anything, but the things we are saying, okay, they can make it out to be violent. Okay, Obadiah, they're gonna hold that one against us, but it's of the Lord. All right, so we're not to feel ashamed. Okay, this is the truth. All right, this is the dividing of the truth. Okay, concerning Edom, Obadiah chapter 1 verse 1, the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord Yahawah concerning Edom, we have heard a rumor from the Lord. Okay, this is from the Lord. This is a rumor from the Lord. Okay, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Okay. All right. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Okay, Esau's proud way of thinking, and y'all select. I got to keep coming back and checking my mic because last lesson it cut me off. Okay, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, verse 4. No, verse 3. Okay, the pride of thy heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down. Okay, this is the Lord talking about war with Esau, said the Lord. Okay, all right, let's go down right here, verse 8. Shall I not in that day, said the Lord Yahawah, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and the understanding out of Mount Esau, bringing them down. Okay, and this is why, for the violence against jumping down to 10. Oh no, 9. And thy mighty men, O Teman, the Germans, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. The Lord's going to kill him. Verse 10, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, and this is why, okay, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So there's a reason, okay? There's the man that put the sanction against you, and there's the man that's giving you a reason why he, not, there's the power, the Lord Yahawashi, giving you the reason why he put this judgment on you, okay? All right. So going back here, all right, racially, ethnically motivated violent extremism. This threat encompasses the potentially unlawful use or threat of force or violence and furtherance or ideological agendas derived from bias, often related to race or ethnicity, held by the actor against others or a given population group. Racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists purport to use both political and religious justifications to support their racially or ethnically based ideologic objectives and criminal activities. Okay, this is the next one. Anti-government or anti-authority violent or extremism. This threat encompasses the potentially unlawful use or threat of force or violence and furtherance of ideological agendas derived from anti-government or anti-authority sentiment, including opposition to perceived economic, social, or racial hierarchies, or perceived government overreach, negligence, or illit, illit, slacken. Oh, illegitimacy. Okay, illegitimacy. Slacky is a tongue twister for me. All right. Now let's go here. Okay. This is FBI documents domestic terrorism definition, terminology, and methodology. Okay, so this is what the FBI thinks, which we read already. Okay. Okay, Sluggy. Okay, yeah. You know, the FBI recognizes a domestic terrorism plot as a combination of criminal activity and planning that collectively reflects steps toward criminal action in furtherance of a domestic ideological goal. All right. Disrupted domestic terrorism plots are plots which, in the FBI's assessment, absent law enforcement intervention, could have resulted in a domestic terrorism incident. Okay. All right. Let me see. All right. Now we know because there's no new thing under the sun. All right. Okay. We know that Apostle Paul was charged with sedition among men. Exciting. Okay. Okay. Acts chapter 2, 23, verse 33. And this is just Paul Caesarea. On arrival at Caesarea in the autumn of 57 AD. Okay, let's see that map. Where's the map? Should I make sure my okay, it's good. Okay, let me see. All right. Okay, the map didn't pull up. It says see on page C1 on map 26. Paul appears before the Roman governor. Okay, and this is Rome all over again. Okay, this is modern day Rome. Modern day Rome. All right, which exercises the power of the first beast. This is America Babylon the Great exercising the power of Rome. All right. He is kept under armed guard for 5 days in the governor's residence at Herod's palace until Ananias, the high priest, and Tertullus, a Jewish lawyer, arrived from Jerusalem for Paul's trial. Okay. All right. Paul, charged with a public disorder offense in Jerusalem, is accused by the Jews before the Roman governor, Marcus Antiochus Felix. Paul is described as a leader of the Nazarene group who has tried to desecrate the temple by bringing Gentiles into the inner courts. Paul defends himself, admitting he is a follower of the way of Hamashiach Yahawashi. And that's the same thing with us, man. Okay? We're just telling you the truth, following the Lord's Yahawashi and the rules that he laid out before us. He asks why his accusers of Ephesus aren't present in the court and claims he is on trial for believing in the resurrection of the dead. And we're going to be on trial too. Okay, look at this. Roman theater in Caesarea. Okay, kind of like a theatrical, kind of like a coliseum. It is a coliseum. All right, somewhere where Nero would be. Okay. Salaki, 1 second. Okay, and I think I'm just gonna go to the scriptures. All right, I think I'll just go to it. Acts chapter 24. Okay. Oh Lord, I let the dog out. Hey, go, go, go. Damn, I let the dog out. Okay, give me one. Y'all give me 1 second. All right, Salaki. All right. Okay. All right. So, and after 5 days and nights, the high priest descended with the elders and with a certain orator named Tertullus, who informed the governor against Paul. Okay. I came forward to begin to accuse him, saying, seeing joint great quietness, indeed, nation. Okay. Verse 4. Notwithstanding that I be not further tedious unto thee, I pray thee that thou wouldest hear us of thy clemency of few words. For we have found this man a pestilent fellow and a mover of sedition among all the Jews throughout the world. Okay. You know, and let's get that definition of sedition real quick. Sedition is an overt conduct such as speech and organization that tends toward rebellion against the established order. Who was the established order at the time? Rome. Okay. Let me get this real quick. Remember what we just read. Slide. Give me 1 second. Let me find it. Right here. Okay. No, it wasn't right there, Salaki. Where was it at? It was. Y'all, Salaki, let me find it real quick. Hmm. Well, this is one thing they're saying right here, that we're in, we're intimidating the pop, the Hebrew Israelites are intimidating these people that's of different nations, okay, out there preaching the truth, um, telling these other nations that they're going into captivity, all right, and that's thus said the Lord. Where did I find that one? Let me see. 1 second. Okay, let me read that one. Right here, ideological agendas derived from bias, often related to race or ethnicity, held by the actor against others or a given population group. Okay, so that's what the Hebrew Israelites are on today's time. We tell them that the Lord's people are the Israelites, and they're the true Israelites, and the other ones, and the ones in the land right now are fucking liars. Okay, so that would be considered to them as the truth, but it would be considered bias. Acts, jump back here. Okay, well, sedition. All right. Okay, toward rebellion against the established order. Okay, it often includes subversion of a constitution and incitement of discontent toward or insurrection against established authority. Sedition refers to overactions, gestures, or speech by a person in oral or written form which expresses his or her discontent discontent against the established government and the state with the aim to incite violence or hatred against it, which we ourselves we can't, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, so we're not getting carnal until Yahawashi comes. Everything right now is spiritually. Everything right now is spiritual. We're tearing down the strongholds or that were put on our minds by the ideologies of the so-called white man, all right, of Edom. So right now we're breaking down the strongholds through the spirit of Yahawashi. But soon, it will be violence. Okay. And we can't lie about that. It's just the truth. All right. Let me go here. Let me go back. All right. Um, okay. What's the next chapter, Salagi? And it be your own people that form against you. Then the high priest and the chief of the Jews informed him against Paul and besought him. Okay. And desired favor against him that he would send for him to Jerusalem, laying wait in the way to kill him. Let me see. Okay. Y'all bro with me. I'm trying to find something. I'm doing it the fast way. Okay, Salaki, y'all. 2 Timothy chapter 4. Okay, see right here. So, for I am now ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand. Okay. Let me see something. Giving Timothy some instructions. Okay. Okay. So yeah. Okay. I'm deleting all this shit. Some of this stuff's logging. Okay. No, don't want to be here. No. Okay. Okay, here we go. King Agrippa laid charges on Paul for inciting unrest and desecrating the temple. Okay, there you go. Paul had been arrested in Jerusalem and faced charges of inciting unrest. Okay, we read we read up on some stuff like that. Let me see if it was here. It says the FBI recognizes domestic terrorism plot as a combination of criminal activity and planning that collectively reflect steps towards criminal action and furtherance of a domestic ideological goal. Okay, let me go here. Let me see. I had something up here. Um, it says right here. It says domestic terrorism defined as activities that A involve acts dangerous human life, B appear to be intended, okay, to intimidate, coerce a civilian population, influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion, affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassinating government territory, the U.S. Okay. All right. So we pretty much get the point here. Let me see. Terrorist activity or plots perpetrated within the United States or abroad. Okay. So we very much could be, pretty much on the same charges as the Apostle Paul. Okay. It's no thing different. Okay. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Let me see. So they would label us as a homegrown terrorist. Okay. Okay, let me see. Well, this is a good one. Racially or ethnically motivated violent extremism. This threat encompasses the potentially unlawful use or threat or force or violence in furtherance of ideological agendas derived from bias, often related to race or ethnicity, held by the actor against others or a given population group. Racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists purport to use both political and religious justifications to support their racially or ethnically based ideological objectives and criminal activities. Okay. But yeah, man, that is the definition of domestic terrorism. Okay. All right. I dragged it pretty long. I didn't want this one to be long. So with that, I'm saying Shalom, call all Yahawah by Shem Yahawashi by Shem Kakadash. And Daban to the apostles and elders of great millstone and Shalom to the whole elect. Shalom.